going on, guys? Bobby Betts back with the first installment of Movers and Shakers, where take a look at the upcoming card this week, and we're just going to discuss solely the line, the bet percentage, and which way the line's moving, and see if we can make heads or tails of it. So, as always, follow your boy on the socials, on Twitter, on YouTube, and betmma.tips. It is going to be Bobby Betts Fights. So, the goal of this really is to see and kind of diagnose what the market is saying the side is, and from there we can determine if we're going to place a bet or not. So with my style, again, just to reiterate, I take a look at which way the line's moving, I take a look at the tape, and then ultimately place a wager on it to try to get the best line, a combination of being able to beat the books as well as, being on the right side of the market. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right into it with the first fight, which is going to be Blake Bilder versus Kyle Nelson. Blake Bilder opened a minus 200 favorite. Kyle Nelson was plus 170. Blake Bilder swelled up minus 240 for Blake Bilder. Kyle Nelson's now plus 200. So 40 cents worth of movement on the Bilder side. He's been the heavy favorite since the opener. Every opener that I quote, this opening line is going to be as of Sunday morning. So he was at 86% of the handle and 80% of the bets. He's now at 94% of the handle and 85% of the bets. So only 6% handle for Kyle Nelson. So not too many people on his side. Larger dollars and the amount of bets, both on Bilder. Bilder is the side in this one. But it's tough to say that there's value with him at minus 240. He's, in my opinion, a guy you want to try to get closer to even, if not underdog odds, being that he's only had one fight in the UFC. But definitely see Bilder the side there. Probably not going to be targeting that line for a bet. Moving on, we have Maria Oliveira versus Diana Belbitia. Now, this is an interesting one because Belbitia opened an underdog at plus 100, and Maria Oliveira was the favorite at minus 120. But Belbitia actually, at the start of it, had a higher handle at 53% and 61% of the bets. But as it stands right now, Belbitia is the favorite at minus 115. Oliveira is the underdog at minus 105. But Belbitia has lost some ground on the handle and the bets. So Belbitia is now sitting at 41% of the handle and 49% of the bets. So even though money's coming in on Oliveira, the line's moving towards Belbitia. A little bit of reverse line movement there, so it indicates some sharp dollars are on Belbitia. So that's definitely a line to target. I think Belbitia would be the side in that. I can understand if you want to stay away from it because it is a very low-level women's MMA fight. So there's a lot of variables that come with that, but the way the line's moving, that would indicate that Belbitia is the side in this one. Moving on, we got Arichi Long versus Ayman Zahabi. Another interesting mover. So Arichi Long opened the favorite at minus 130. Ayman Zahabi at plus 110. Zahabi had 81% of the handle and 29% of the bets, so a lot of big dollars coming in on Zahabi early. And as it stands right now, Zahabi's in Chilang is a pick'em at minus 110. So I'm Zahabi, 71% of the handle as it stands, 50% of the bets. So Arichi Long making some ground back on the handle, but the line's moving towards Zahabi. So I would say Zahabi's the side on this one if you're taking a look at this. That's definitely one that I would target as a play because it's so evenly matched. Not evenly matched. I should say the line's evenly lined at this point, and it's starting to sway towards Zahabi. So moving on, we got Steven Irseg versus David Dvorak. So with this one, Dvorak was open plus 350 in that area, and Dvorak was closer to minus 400 when this line opened up. As it stands right now, Steven Irseg is at plus 225 and Dvorak's minus 265. 44% of the handle is with Irseg, 56% of the handle with Dvorak, but Dvorak owns 3/4 of the bets, 75% to 25% on the comeback for Irseg. So with this one, it's a big underdog. Irseg is making his UFC debut, but he has fought some stiff competition in the past. He's definitely a seasoned vet, and especially at flyweight, I can see why you want to take a flyer on Irseg. He's got really good Brazilian jiu-jitsu. He's got good stand-up. He's huge for a flyweight, so there's a lot to like about him. Definitely going to be a tough test for David Dvorak. So I would say, I can understand a lot of people wanting to parlay Dvorak, the way the line's moving, and the way based on the way that it's split. I would say that Irseg is the side, is the big underdog. That is definitely one that I will be targeting as well. So we got a lot of good movers and a lot of lines that we can kind of attack this week based on the way that they're moving. So moving on to the next one. We have Jasmine Jasudavicius versus Miranda Maverick. So Maverick opened a minus 295 favorite. Jasudavicius is plus 245. Line really hasn't moved that much. As far as the handle, Jasudavicius has made some ground. So Miranda Maverick, the handle opened at 84%. Jasudavicius was at 16% when it opened. Maverick's now at 69%. Jasudavicius at 31%. Maverick still has the majority of the bets, 79%. On the comeback, 21% of the bets for Jasudavicius, and the line hasn't moved at all, still plus 245. Maverick is still close to the minus 300 favorite. So on this one, it's tough. I'd like to see a little bit more movement towards the Jasudavicius side to say that she's a play as an underdog. It's kind of been stuck. A lot of people probably parlaying Miranda Maverick at that clip, I imagine, is why the bet percentage is so high. Same with Dvorak. Just you see that high, people see that high probability for the line, and they're just going to go ahead and parlay juice to try to get it closer to even, is why there's so many bets on it. Really, it's a tough one. Not a line that I'm targeting because there hasn't been any movement, but Maverick is, I can see it's stuck in mud right now. I can't see it moving much more towards Jasudavicius' favor. So in these situations, it's dog or pass. I'm probably going to end up passing on this because it just hasn't been any movement. So I would say, I guess you could say Maverick is the side, but there really isn't a side because there hasn't really been much movement. So other than that, moving on to the next fight, see if we get something a little bit more interesting. So Chris Curtis is facing off against Nasruddin Imavov. So as it opened, Imavov was at minus 135. Chris Curtis was at plus 115 as the underdog. It was close to par with both the handle and the bets. 58% of the handle with Imavov. Chris Curtis was at 42% of the handle. Imavov, 47% of the bets. Chris Curtis, 53% of the bets. As it stands right now, the line's moving towards Imavov. He's a minus 150 favorite. Chris Curtis is a plus 130 underdog. And dead even on the amount of bets, it's 50-50, but Imavov's at 63% of the handle, so he is getting the larger dollars. So the way the line's moving, again, about 15 cents worth of movement towards the Imavov side, which would say that he's the play. As of right now, I'm not targeting that line because it's a little bit too much juice for me. Imavov's kind of in that area where it's too much juice for a straight play for my liking. I'm not that confident to lay down a higher amount of risk for the reward on it, and just not confident putting him in a parlay. I mean, if I'm going to parlay, I need to be confident that if I had the bankroll, I would play it straight, and I don't think that's the case, especially coming off the performance that Imavov have. You can make cases for either guy. I can't see it. I can see this being played out on the feet, but Imavov with the in and out movement versus Chris Curtis was the steady boxing. It's too much of a variable for me. If the line was moving in Chris Curtis's favor, I'd probably think about a play on him, but since it's moving the other way, probably going to be a pass for me. So you can say Imavov is the side on this one because that's the way the line's moving. Moving on, we got MAB, Marc-Andre Barriault, facing off against your boy, Eric Anders. So this line, when it opened, MAB was minus 135. Anders was plus 115. It hasn't moved at all. That's where it stands as of today. MAB was getting 84% of the bets when it opened. He's now at 76%. And as far as the amount of bets, it's the same. 72% in favor of Barriault, 28% for Anders on the comeback. So more bets being placed on Marc-Andre Barriault. A higher handle for Marc-Andre Barriault, but the line's stuck in the mud. Hasn't moved. So this is one that I would target. Thinking about a play on Anders here because there's been a lot of money coming in on Barriault, but nothing sharp to indicate that he would be the play. So we'll see how it plays out later on the week. If the line starts moving towards Anders, to think about a play. If not, then it might be a pass because it'd be a little bit too rich for me to play MAB. So I would say Anders' side on this one, but more to come on that because it's just too early to tell with the minimal line movement. Moving on, we got Nate the Train Landwehr facing off against Dan Ige. Outside of the line movement, this fight's going to be a banger. I'm super, super excited to watch this one. Big Nate the Train fan, so not sure if I'm going to be placing a wager. But for those who are trying to place a wager, let's go ahead and dissect it. So Ige opened a favorite minus 250. Landwehr was plus 210. As far as the handle, pretty much even. Ige edged him out at 56% of the handle, and he edged them out in bets, about 67% of the bets. It's where it stands right now. Ige's only gained 5 cents, about minus 255, Landwehr plus 215, and it's pretty much stayed the same. Ige's got 57% handle and 66% of the bets, so only about a 1% movement on each side for those. So this is a tough one, really. I want to say that Landwehr is a side, but it's not moving in his favor. It's minimal line movement. I'd like to see the line start to move a little bit more towards Landwehr in order for me to place a wager. So probably going to be a pass for me on this one, but one to kind of to keep in the back of your head. I mean, if it really starts moving towards Landwehr, that's something that we can keep an eye on. But I mean, we're pretty far along in the week. I can't see it moving all that much. So moving on to the next fight, we got Adam Fugit facing off against Mike Malott. So this is another interesting matchup that's been a highly contested conversation on the socials. A lot of people like Mike Malott. A lot of people like Adam Fugit for their own reasons. But let's go ahead and take a look and see what the market is telling us. And the market's telling us not much, because Mike Malott opened a minus 205 favorite, and that is where he currently stands. So when it opened, 68% of the handle on Malott, 78% of the bets. So everyone was on Malott. As it stands right now, it's actually flipped. 60% handle for Adam Fugit, and for the bets, 81% Mike Malott. So we have higher dollar amounts coming in for Adam Fugit, but Mike Mallott's getting more of the bets, and the line hasn't moved. So it's really tough to say whether or not the underdog is going to be the play. I am dying to take Adam Fugit, just like I'm dying to take Nate Landwehr, but there hasn't been that movement that's indicated that this change in handle, that the sharp bettors are going to be on that side. So as of right now, it's a pass, but it's definitely one that we're going to go ahead and target and keep an eye on, just like Landwehr, see if it moves. I don't know if it will, but we'll still hold out hope as we get closer to weigh-ins. Moving on, we got Beneil Dariush facing off against Charles Oliveira. It opened up Oliveira plus 105, Dariush minus 125. As far as the handle's concerned, Dariush was getting a little bit more of the handle at 53%. As far as the bets were concerned, Oliveira was getting more bets. It was 56%. As it stands right now, the line's moving towards Dariush. So he's at minus 140. Charles Oliveira plus 120 as the underdog. Still pretty even. Dariush is still winning the handle at 55%, and Oliveira is still winning the amount of bets at 54%. So I would say that Dariush is the side here. The line's moving towards him, and there really hasn't been that much of a change in the handle or the bet percentage. So got to be some sharp money coming in on Dariush, more than there is coming in on Oliveira. So that's why that line's moving about 15 cents. So that is one to target. That's all I got to say about that. Moving on, we got the main event, which is Irene Aldana facing off against Amanda Nunes. This one is another one stuck in the mud. Opened at minus 315 for Nunes. Aldana's at plus 260, and that's currently where it stands. As far as the handle and the bet percentage, Amanda Nunes was winning both of those in the opener. 75% handle and 83% of the bets. A little bit of money coming in on Aldana to kind of sway those numbers. Aldana's up to 37% of the handle, 24% of the bets, but Nunes is still winning that. Both of those battles, sitting at 63% of the handle and 76% of the bets. So, again, the line stuck in mud. It's going to be tough, especially because you know who Amanda Nunes is. She's a lioness. She's a very dominant champion. A little bit of a hiccup against Juliana Pena, but she got right back on track in the last fight. I can see why people like Aldana. Good boxing, competitive on the feet. I think Nunes definitely has a big edge on the ground, and if she decides to use it, she can go ahead and might make it a quick night at the office for her, but who knows. Right now, the market's not telling us much. I think if Aldana was aside, we would have saw a lot more movement towards her when that handle started to increase for her. So probably going to be a pass for me. It's tough to play Nunes at minus 315 and not confident at Aldana with the line not moving. So where does that leave us? That leaves us with a couple more days to place our wagers. Now that we got an idea about which way the line's moving, we can go ahead and confidently place some wagers, hopefully get some CLV, and hopefully cash some bets on Saturday. So again, watching, and I look forward to us cashing out on Saturday. Bobby Bets is out.